I worked double shifts to afford her master's degree. The day she graduated, she changed her last name, but not to mine. "It's just easier this way," she said, while her professor waited in the car. I walked away without a scene. But 3 months later, when she opened her dissertation defense Zoom call, I was there, too. I'm 34. I live in Columbus, Ohio. For the past 7 years, I've worked at a warehouse on the west side, moving boxes and driving forklifts. It's hard work. I clock in at 6 a.m. and don't leave until 6 p.m. Most nights, I come home too tired to do anything but eat and crash. That's the kind of life I had when I met Alyssa. She was 24 back then, finishing her senior year at Ohio State. I met her in a Kroger parking lot. Her front tire was flat, and she looked like she was about to cry. I offered to help. She told me I didn't have to. I said it was no trouble. We talked while I changed her tire. She laughed at my old t-shirt and said I looked like someone's dad. I told her I got it free from a softball tournament. She smiled, and I didn't think much of it at first. But when she called me later that week to thank me again, it felt nice. We started dating. A few dinners turned into weekends at my place. A couple months in, she moved in with me. That was the start of it all. She had this big dream of becoming a psychologist. She said she wanted to help people like her mom, who battled addiction. I admired her for that. I never went back to school after my dad got cancer, and it felt good being with someone who wanted more. When she got into a master's program at Case Western, she cried in my arms, said it was the most important thing in her life. So, I made it happen. She couldn't afford tuition. Her family couldn't help. So I took on more shifts. I worked 6, sometimes 7 days a week. I did overnights driving forklifts at a different company and still held my regular warehouse job during the day. I got 4 hours of sleep if I was lucky. But I told myself it was worth it. I loved her. She didn't have time to work. She had papers to write, research to do, meetings with professors. So, I paid for rent. I bought all the groceries. I covered gas and Wi-Fi and everything else. She called me her rock. Said I was the only reason she could do this. Some nights, I'd come home after 14 hours and find her asleep on the couch, books and notes scattered everywhere. I'd clean up, make her tea, and rub her feet while she told me about her day. At first, it felt like we were in this together. But after about a year, she started pulling away. She got more secretive. She started locking her phone. She'd tell me she was going to group study sessions that lasted until midnight. She stopped asking me to help her with anything. She said I wouldn't understand the work anymore. I thought maybe I'd done something wrong. Maybe I wasn't smart enough. Maybe she was just stressed. But deep down, something didn't feel right. Then came graduation day. She didn't seem excited that morning. She barely talked to me on the drive to Cleveland. I told her how proud I was, and she just smiled, but it felt fake. The ceremony was long, but I didn't care. I waited, clapped when her name was called, took pictures like a proud husband. I thought we were going to celebrate together afterward. But when I found her outside, she looked tense. She said, "I need to tell you something." I thought she was going to say thank you. Instead, she told me she changed her last name on her degree. Not to mine. We talked about getting married one day, so I thought maybe she'd made it official. But no, she changed it to her mother's maiden name. I asked her why. She said, "It's just easier this way." Professionally. I stood there, stunned. Then a silver Audi pulled up to the curb. Inside was a man in his 50s, wearing sunglasses and a button-down shirt. She looked at me and said, "That's Dr. Lanning. He's taking me to dinner." I asked if I was invited. She shook her head. "It's just a mentor thing." She kissed me on the cheek, got in the car, and drove off. I stood there for a long time. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I drove home alone, in silence. That night, I packed up her things. I didn't hear from her for weeks. When she finally texted, all she said was, "Thank you for everything." I should have deleted the message. But I didn't. I spent the next few weeks trying to move on. I worked. I slept. I tried to forget. Then one of my old coworkers who also knew Alyssa from a volunteer event messaged me. Dude, she's with that professor now. The older guy? From Case Western. He sent a picture. It was Alyssa and Dr. Lanning at a dinner event, his hand on her back, both of them smiling. It felt like my lungs gave out. I wasn't just dumped. I'd been used. Used for free housing. Used for financial support. Used for my labor. She let me believe we were building a life together while she was lining up her next one. I sat on my couch for hours, going over everything. And then I remembered something. She didn't write all of that dissertation by herself. I'd helped. A lot. I formatted her entire draft. I edited her intro, her lit review, even her references. I double-checked her statistics because she said math gave her anxiety. Some of those paragraphs? I wrote them. I had the emails, the Word docs, the messages to prove it. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I contacted the university anonymously. I sent them an email with attachments. I said I had reason to believe Alyssa's dissertation was not entirely her own work. I sent screenshots, emails, a copy of the Word document with my track changes. I didn't want to ruin her life. But I wasn't going to let her build it on top of mine either. 2 weeks later, I got a message from someone I knew in the admin office. He said she was under review for academic misconduct. Her dissertation defense was being postponed. There was going to be an investigation. I felt strange. Not happy. Not sad. Just calm. But I wasn't finished yet. Her Zoom dissertation defense got rescheduled. And through a little work, I won't say how I got myself on the guest list. Fake name. Fake credentials. Real invitation. That morning, I wore a button-down shirt and poured myself a cup of coffee. Sat down at my desk and logged in early. She entered late. Looked nervous. Dr. Lanning sat beside her. The panel of professors didn't waste time. Your methodology has inconsistencies. Can you walk us through your data gathering process? You state here that you conducted interviews, but there's no appendix or transcripts. Can you provide those now? Some of your results match previously published work, almost word for word. Do you have an explanation? She froze. She stammered. She looked at Lanning, but they muted him. I watched quietly. Didn't say a word. She failed. They said she could try again next year, after further review. But it would go on her record. And Lanning? He was put on leave pending investigation into inappropriate involvement. She still doesn't know I was there. A week later, she emailed me. One sentence. Did you do this? I stared at the screen for a while. Then I deleted it. After I deleted her email, I thought that would be it. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just a single sheet of paper folded in 3. You think you're so smart. You think you ruined me. But you don't know everything. That's all it said. No signature. No name. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't call the police. But I kept the letter in my glove box, just in case. Part of me thought it was Alyssa. Another part wondered if it was him, Dr. Lanning. Either way, it meant they were angry. Good. I wanted them uncomfortable. But I didn't expect what came next. One of my warehouse buddies, Ray, called me late one night. Man, I just saw something messed up, he said. You know that psychologist group off Olentangy Road? I did. It was a private clinic. I'd passed it before. She's working there, Ray said. Alyssa. I saw her through the glass. With patients. I felt like someone punched me in the stomach. She wasn't supposed to be practicing. Her degree wasn't valid. Her defense had failed. But now she was sitting in some nice office, giving therapy sessions? I didn't say much to Ray. Just thanked him and hung up. But I didn't sleep that night. I started digging. She'd started calling herself Alyssa Benton online. Not her real last name. Not mine either. A totally new identity. On her LinkedIn, she listed herself as Dr. Alyssa Benton, PhD. Pending conferral. She made a website, too, complete with fake testimonials and an online booking form. I knew that clinic. It was small, privately owned. I guess they didn't check her credentials too hard. Or maybe she lied. So, I made another plan. I created a new email account and pretended to be a concerned client. Asked questions. Where did she go to school? Was she licensed in Ohio? Could I see her credentials? She replied the next morning. Said she graduated top of her class from Case Western. Said she was fully licensed. Attached a fake-looking certificate that had a typo in it, psychological instead of psychological. That was all I needed. I sent everything to the Ohio Board of Psychology. Her fake degree, the website screenshots, the email response. I used my real name this time. I wanted them to know I wasn't done. And then I waited again. A month passed. Then 2. I started to think, maybe I'd overplayed my hand. Maybe they didn't care. Maybe people like her get away with things because they smile at the right people. But then someone came knocking. Literally. It was a woman in a navy blazer with a clipboard and an ID badge from the state of Ohio. Are you Mr. Nichols? Yes. I'd like to ask you some questions about Alyssa Benton. We sat at my kitchen table for nearly 2 hours. I gave her everything. The files, the texts, the emails, the screenshots of the dissertation draft, the Zoom call recording. I told her about the fake license, the clinic, the professor. She took notes, asked questions, thanked me, said they'd be opening a formal investigation into her conduct and her licensing status. That was when I finally started to breathe again. But the fallout was just beginning. 2 weeks later, the clinic shut down. It wasn't on the news. No headlines. Just a white piece of paper taped to the glass door. Closed until further notice. Someone posted about it on the Columbus subreddit. Said they were a client. Said they'd been getting sessions from Alyssa for months and now couldn't reach her. Another user chimed in saying they were told by staff that legal issues had come up. That night, I got another email from her. Longer this time. She didn't threaten me. She didn't curse. She begged. Please stop. You made your point. You won. I have nothing left. I just wanted a new start. He left me. I'm losing everything. Please, I'm asking you not to do any more damage. I stared at that email for a long time. There was a time I would have cared. But not anymore. I didn't write her back. Instead, I sent the email to the state board too. Let them see the desperation. Let them see how she admitted it without admitting it. I thought that was the end of it. But then I saw him. Dr. Lanning. At my gym. He was wearing sunglasses inside, lifting weights like a washed-up ex-athlete. I hadn't seen him in person until that moment. And he didn't know who I was. But I knew him. So I walked over. Calm. Direct. Rough month. I asked. He blinked. Do I know you? No, I said. But you know Alyssa. His face changed. I nodded. The guy who paid for her degree. The guy who watched her Audi pull up on graduation day. He looked down. No words. Just so you know, I said, this isn't over. Then I walked out. A week after I saw Lanning at the gym, I got served. A man knocked on my door at 8:30 p.m. sharp, holding a thick white envelope. Are you Daniel Nichols? Yeah. You've been served. He handed it over and walked off like it was nothing. Inside was a cease and desist letter from Alyssa's lawyer. Or rather, from a lawyer who claimed to represent her. It accused me of harassment, defamation, interference with livelihood, and malicious digital activity. They wanted me to stop contacting institutions, stop spreading falsehoods, and take down anything I'd posted about her online. I hadn't posted anything. I hadn't even said her name in public. But the letter was aggressive, full of legal threats, and it ended with the words, "Failure to comply will result in formal legal action." I read it twice, then laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it proved one thing. She was scared. I called a friend of mine, Kelsey, who used to work in HR for a law firm downtown. I told her what was going on. She agreed to take a look at the letter. 3 hours later, she called me back. It's a bluff, she said. Not even a real legal firm. Some online LLC they pulled from Nevada. They can't enforce anything. But if you want to go on offense, you've got a strong case. I hadn't planned to take it that far. But then Kelsey said something that stuck. You're not the only one, she told me. I did some digging. There's another guy. His name's Eric. She used to live with him before you. Same story. Paid for her undergrad. She ghosted him too. I tracked him down. Took some effort, but I found him on Facebook, still living in Dayton. I sent him a message. He replied within the hour. We talked on the phone for 3 hours that night. Turns out, I wasn't even her first. I was just the middle guy. Eric told me Alyssa lived with him for almost 2 years. He paid for her GRE prep courses, helped her apply to grad schools, and even co-signed on a student loan she never paid back. She left one night, without warning, took half the furniture, and was gone. He never heard from her again. Until now. She sent me a letter last month, he said, asking if I'd forgive her. Said she was trying to clear her karma. He asked me what had happened between me and her. I told him everything. When I finished, he said, "You know what we should do, right?" I already knew. The next morning, I created a shared Google Drive folder. I called it the Alyssa Project. I uploaded everything: letters, emails, dissertation drafts, screenshots, timelines. Eric added his documents too: loan agreements, messages, photos of them together. We started making a full record, a trail. Then we got smart. We set up an anonymous email account and sent a package to every place Alyssa had tried to work or applied to, based on her online profiles. That included the clinic she just got fired from and 3 others where she'd applied. Each email had one line: "Before you hire Alyssa Benton, review this." Then a link to the folder. 2 days later, we got confirmation. One clinic removed her job posting from their site. The next week, she shut down all her social media. She was disappearing again, but not like before. This time, we were chasing her shadow, and we were faster. I got another email, this time from her actual address. No fake name. No lawyer. Just her. Subject line: "I give up. Body. You ruined my life. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know how hard it is to be a woman in this world. All I ever wanted was to be someone. And now I'm nothing. Is that what you wanted?" I stared at that last line. She still didn't get it. She thought this was about revenge, about hate. But it wasn't. It was about truth. She built a life on lies. She used good people and walked away like it was nothing. And I wasn't going to let her do it again. After I got that last email from Alyssa, I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I just forwarded it along with everything else to the state licensing board. I made sure they saw how she kept calling herself doctor after her defense had failed, how she admitted in her own words that she wasn't qualified. Then I added Eric to the email chain and included a note: "We're not going away." That same week, I got a call from a private investigator. Turns out Eric had hired him after Alyssa vanished from Dayton. He'd never been able to find her until now. The investigator shared something I didn't expect. Alyssa had applied for a therapist position in Pittsburgh, under a different name. She was going by Eliza Benton now. Slightly changed hair, new glasses, same fake degree. She'd gotten past the first round of interviews. She'd even been shadowing a licensed therapist for a week. She was starting over again, just like before. That was the moment I realized what we had to do. So I made one final call to the state attorney general's office. I sent them everything. The full paper trail, the messages, the fake resume, the fraudulent job applications. I told them she was impersonating a licensed therapist across state lines, that she was a threat to actual patients. I didn't know if they'd take it seriously. But 3 weeks later, I got my answer. It made the news. Not the front page, but enough. Woman accused of impersonating therapist. Under investigation in 2 states, there was her face. The same picture she used on her fake clinic website. Underneath it, the story laid everything out. Misrepresentation. Unlicensed practice. Academic misconduct. Pending investigation by state and university boards. It even mentioned a possible loan fraud case tied to a co-signed student loan. That was Eric. Alyssa's name was done. She disappeared again. Wiped everything. Deleted her profiles. Took down her email. Vanished like a ghost. But this time, there was nowhere to go. Because now she had a digital record. real and public. Every time she tried to get a job, it'd come up. Every time she changed her name, there'd be a paper trail. She couldn't fake a past anymore. She couldn't hide. And then came the best part. I got a letter in the mail, not from Alyssa, not from her lawyer, not from the board. From Case Western Reserve University. It was formal, sealed, signed. They had officially revoked Alyssa's enrollment and barred her from reapplying to any graduate program for life. She'd been found guilty of academic fraud and ethical misconduct. They even notified the National Student Clearinghouse, which meant any future school she applied to would see the flag on her record. She could never be a psychologist. Not here. Not anywhere. She'd spent years climbing on the backs of men who trusted her, who loved her. And in the end, all she had left was a wrecked name, no degree, and a trail of closed doors. Lanning? Turns out the school investigated him too. They found proof that he'd written at least 2 letters of recommendation for her while they were involved. He was forced to resign. Quietly. No public firing, but he lost tenure. Lost his license. Last I heard, he moved to a different state and was teaching at a community college, far from psychology. But he didn't get off completely. Someone, might have been Eric, left flyers on every car in the parking lot during his final week on campus. The flyer had a headline, "This man slept with his graduate student and helped her cheat her way through school." The rest was bullet points. Simple. True. They made copies in the hundreds. As for me, I thought I'd feel empty after it was all over. But I didn't. I felt clean. Like someone who finally took out the trash after it had been rotting for years. It wasn't about revenge. Not anymore. It was about truth. About making sure the next guy she met didn't get drained dry like Eric and me. I still work the warehouse job. Still drink my coffee from the same chipped mug. But now I sleep easy. Sometimes I think about Alyssa. Where she is. What name she's using. Who she's trying to charm now. But then I remember. She can't run from it anymore. Every lie is out there now. Every bridge she burned is gone. And every man she ever used? We built the fire she burned in. No fake name will save her from that.